welcome to another Read Aloud. Today we are reading chapter 21. And your thinking question is really broad today. It doesn't even have to do with this specific chapter. It's just overall, are you enjoying the story? What are you liking about it, and what are you not quite liking about it? Just kind of reflecting on the story as a whole. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Chapter 21, Beverick the Rooster. Rise and shine! Get off your lazy rumps! It's game day, my friends, Bev called. Aurella groaned and rolled over on the hard wood floor. Squinting, all she could see of Mavic was his fluffy brown hair as he snored. Fluffy brown hair! She frantically pulled the blanket over her head and whispered her disguising spell until they both looked like blonde siblings again. She sighed in relief and pulled the blanket from her face, hoping nobody was awake enough to have noticed what she just did. Come on, get up, Bev shouted, walking around the perimeter of the room, his hand on the wall. Aurella almost called out for him to watch out for the hole in the floor, but he walked around it, knowing exactly where it was. People around the room grumbled and groaned as they tried to ignore Bev and go back to sleep. The only other person up was Hyla, who was loudly talking to herself in the corner as she reorganized the camping gear. Hyla, how's it looking? Bev asked when he reached her. Fantastic! I think it's all in order. Alec, I can hear you snoring from all the way over here. Get up, Bev called, walking toward Alec in the corner of the room. He nudged him with his foot. Ouch, don't kick me, Alec grumbled. Well, wake up, you lump. I need your help. Why do you wake up so early? Most creatures wait for the sun. That doesn't apply to me. I can't see the sun, Bev chuckled. You know, that would be funny, except it's so early that neither do I. Alec jammed his pillow over his head. Stop complaining, you big baby, or I'm gonna accidentally step on your face. Leave me alone. Aurella sat up just as Bev's foot hovered over Alec's face. Alec grabbed Bev's foot and twisted until Bev lost his balance and fell over on top of Alec. Ew, get a room, Cal chortled nearby. Alec, you lazy, worthless piece of crap, Bev complained as he stumbled to his feet. Get up! Fine, you annoying blind rooster. Alec finally sat up, rubbing his eyes. Mavic yawned and also sat up. What's with all the shouting? Just a typical morning. You want me to accidentally step on your head too? Bev offered. No, I'm good. Several people staggered to their feet, folded up their blankets, and looked for something productive to do. Aurella and Mavic followed their example. Aurella cleaned up her area and put her blankets back where she got them. So, what can I do to help? She asked Bev. Don't ask me. Ask Alec. He's in charge today. Why? Asked Mavic. You really want a blind guy to lead you through the city? Oh, I see your point. Aurella walked tentatively up to Alec. Is there anything I can do to help? Just sit somewhere and wait, he said rudely. He's not a morning person, Bev stage whispered. If you want a straight answer, don't talk to him for another 4 hours. Alec shoved Bev on the shoulder. Shut up, man. Hyla took over organizing who was supposed to be carrying what and where to stand in the group and creating a buddy system in case of emergencies. She must have given Mavic 5 different orders about what exactly she wanted him to carry, then changed her mind each time. Mavic frowned at the ceiling. Kayla came up to Mavic and whispered, It's okay. No one actually listens to Hyla. Just do what you want. I'll keep that in mind, he smiled. Aurella walked to the window, careful to avoid the hole in the floor, and looked out on the city below. There was a small glow on the horizon. Though the sun was not yet visible, the sky was now an eerie, ghostly gray-blue color, and the stars were disappearing, like someone was scrubbing them off the surface of the sky. Despite the hour, townspeople were already busy at work, setting up markets, transporting goods, and chasing early-rising children down the street. Alec walked to the center of the room and shouted,
Alright, everyone shut up and follow me. Time to go.
By the time Aurella turned around, Alec had walked out the door. When no one followed, he threw the door back open.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Bev chuckled.
Do as he says, or someone's gonna get thrown out the window.
The sleepy teenagers trudged through the door after Alec, and they gathered behind the decrepit building. Aurella stayed near to Mavic, who stayed near to Kayla, who was guiding Bev.
Alright, so we're gonna walk to the palace. We're gonna take Castle Road all the way there. Any questions?
Alec asked, rubbing his eyes.
Yes, Bev said. You thought about how conspicuous a large group of teenagers is gonna look marching angrily toward the palace? What does it matter? Alec scowled. We're protesting, aren't we? Since when was that activity inconspicuous? Yeah, but we won't even get to the palace if we're attacked by a swarm of bees on the way there.
Alec grimaced.
I hate it when you're right. Fine. Here's the plan. We'll split into 3 groups. One group, led by me, will take Castle Road. Another group, led by Hyla, will take Terriata. Then the third group, led by Bev and Kayla, will take Kingston. After we split up into groups and head west, make sure not to be too obviously together. Spread out. There should be enough people out that you can somewhat blend in. Pick one person from your group to keep your eye on so you don't get separated, but walk a few paces behind them.
I'm keeping my eye on you two, Cal whispered. Aurella turned around and saw him glaring at her suspiciously. Mavic gave Cal his best, leave us alone or you'll regret your entire life look, and took Aurella's hand.
Alright, split into groups, Alec ordered. Leaders, once you have your people, go ahead. We'll meet in front of the palace.
Everyone began dividing themselves into different groups, trying to stick with their friends. Alec's group was the largest, but Mavic predictably chose to follow Kayla, who was sporting the bedhead look like it was made for her. Aurella held on to Mavic's hand. Cal's vulture-like stare made her uneasy. When 5 more people joined, Bev smiled excitedly.
All right, we ready to do this thing?
Most of the tired teenagers didn't reply.
I'm going to assume that you're all enthusiastically nodding your heads and pumping your fists excitedly in the air. All right, Kayla, lead the way.
With pleasure, she smiled. Mavic picked up his pace so he could walk up front with the leaders. Aurella followed behind. Walking around the few townsfolk up and about, they fell into step with Kayla and Bev.
So, big day, huh?
Mavic grinned, as soon as he reached Kayla. Uh-huh, Kayla smiled.
Oh, come on, Bev complained. Are you going to hit on my girl when I'm standing right here? Mavic blushed. Oh, I'm sorry, are you two...
No, Kayla laughed. Gosh, Bev, you're going to scare the poor guy away before we even get to the palace.
Can I have a simple conversation with a girl without someone accusing me of flirting? Mavic complained. Not when she's got a blind guy attached to her arm to witness the whole thing, Bev teased. You know, I really empathize with conjoined twins.
Why is that? Aurella asked, cutting in.
Because I'm always attached to someone, he said simply. So, anyway, how long have you guys been planning this thing? Mavic asked.
Like a month or so? Kayla guessed.
A month or so? Bev scoffed. The witch hunt didn't even start until a few weeks ago.
I'm sorry, I'm bad at estimating. Feels like it's been forever. But we didn't really get enough people to start putting it together until, this week. How long have you guys been on the run?
Since a few weeks ago, Mavic said. Where are you guys from, anyway? Bev asked.
We're from Lennox, Aurella said.
Just like the real Aurella and Mavic, commented Bev. You guys are a long way from home.
Clankers thought we were the real Aurella and Mavic, but we were framed, Aurella said. That's why we went with those as nicknames. It was sort of a joke between us.
Mavic looked strangely at Aurella, then smiled slightly at her quick lie. So, how far is the palace? He asked. A few hours walking, Bev said. Hemlock is annoyingly huge. It should probably be split up into a few different cities, but for whatever reason, the king likes it this way.
Had Mavic and Aurella been a normal boy and girl, they would have exclaimed, "A few hours? What did my poor feet do to you?" But being that they'd been walking all day, every day since they left Lennox, walking a few hours sounded like a simple 20-minute stroll. They continued west without complaint. Not long after leaving, they had a small incident with a clanker. All they did was walk past him, and he grabbed hold of Mavik's arm. His first instinct, of course, was to push the officer away. Not a smart choice. Luckily, Kayla caught hold of his arms before he did anything. "I'm sorry, sir. Is there a problem?" Kayla asked politely.
"Where are you all headed?" the officer demanded. "What kind of teenagers walk the streets this early in the morning?"
"We're going to school," Bev said easily.
"Oh."
The clanker released Mavik, scowled, and walked away. They continued to be singled out and stopped by clankers. Kayla, Bev, and the rest of the group did a great job at assuring the officers that there was nothing to be concerned about. But Aurella and Mavik could not rest easy. They weren't supposed to be here, and that became more and more apparent with each step. Their whole plan was to get to Rashtika by walking around Hemlock, not waltzing through it, and not heading straight for the palace, for crying out loud. "Mavik," Aurella whispered, "maybe this wasn't such a good idea."
"I was just thinking the same thing,"
he muttered. "Why are there so many bees?" someone asked. Aurella looked around. There were a lot of clankers. They lined both sides of the road, and they were looking right at her and Mavik, like vultures waiting for them to drop dead.
Maybe we should take another road," Mavik suggested. "This one seems a little packed with clankers."
Kayla laughed. "What's your deal? They won't approach unless you act guilty."
"Or if you are guilty," he said under his breath.
"What was that?" Kayla asked.
"Oh, nothing." "Just act normal, guys," reassured Bev. "They'll ignore you if you ignore them."
They continued walking and got no more than 5 steps when an officer began walking toward them. Mavik tensed as if to run, but Kayla gripped his arm. "Cool it. Running is the worst thing you could do right now." Mavik made no comment but sighed impatiently. "I agree with Mavik," said Aurella. "I think we should take another road. Either that or we should split up."
"Split up?" Bev asked. "Why would we do that?" "Well, Aurella and I have this unfortunate way of attracting trouble," said Mavik. "Honestly, you'd all be safer without us around."
Cal stepped forward from the back of the group.
"I knew there was something wrong with you two."
"Cal, shut up," Bev said. "We're not splitting up."
"You sure?" Mavik asked.
Bev stubbornly folded his arms.
"As unofficial leader of this rebel group of mismatched teenagers, I declare that splitting up is a stupid idea and order you to stay with us."
"Amen," Kayla said. Mavik nodded his acquiescence. "Now, don't freak out," Kayla said, "but one of them is coming up right behind you. Pretend to laugh at something I just said, and then turn around and smile at him."
"Kayla, I don't smile at grown men."
"Just do it." Mavik followed her instructions perfectly, and the clanker nodded politely before walking away. "What did I tell you?" Kayla smiled. Aurella thought it best not to mention that the clanker only walked away to signal for his buddy to follow them. All right, that is the end of Chapter 21. Chapter 22 is called, "Oh Yeah, Hemlock is Totally Safe." Sarcasm. All right, friends, so your thinking question is just a really broad, are you liking the story? What are you enjoying? What do you wish was different? That sort of thing. And I will see you guys next time for the next Read Aloud.